Hello, how are you? I'm Erika Teresa. My purpose in joining the lecture in Zoom is to get a new insight of human resource management through this discussion. What I know about human resource planning and retention is it is an activity to analyze and identify the need for and ability of human resources in order to meet the organization's goals. Thus, our planning concentrates on ensuring the right number of human resources with the right capabilities at the right times and in the right place are owned by the organization. It considers the availability and allocation of people to jobs in the long run. We know that an organization's ability to prevent employee turnover or the number of employees who leave their job in a certain period, either voluntary or involuntary, is employee retention. Thus, increasing employee retention is needed. Now, let's get started. Human resource planning is used in and for all functional areas of human resource management. Although we might immediately think of workforce planning, human resource planning covers the broad spectrum of functional areas of human resource management. It is important not only for organizations and businesses but also the government. Thus, we must have a good prediction of the people. My HR plan in the company. First, forecasting the future HR requirements of the organization and determining as to how the existing human resources capability of the organization can be utilized to fulfill these requirements. For example, concentrating on the concept of demand and supply of the human resource capacity, selecting competent people in the appropriate number, and put them in the right place. The second one is using human resource planning, which includes the strategy step by step how to achieve the company objectives, mission, and vision. The third one is technologies, maximize the advance of technology and use it as effective and efficient as well. The fourth is forecasting. Through analyzing the number and position of employees, such as have such as what skills needed to be improved, SR have to SR must have a full picture of the structural performance of the company. Fifth, considering the worst possible situation and future needs of workers. HR must be able to predict and prepare employees to learn how to adapt with changes by providing additional trainings to improve their skills and technologies. Next is forecasting the work position so that it can be estimated to be handled optimally. The company should discuss whether the current maximum number of workers is already achieved or not. If there is an extension, how many employees should be added in and at what position? Next is HR planning process. First is review organizational HR strategies, HR strategic plan. First is review organizational HR strategic plans. First thing that has to be done is this to check whether the strategy in the plan can lead to reach the organization goal or not. The second one is assess external and internal workforce. For example, determine the external condition and influence as well as internal workforce capabilities and key SAS. We need to know the condition of the environment which may affect our organization, such as government policy or competitors. We also need to look at our organization internal workforce capabilities, such as is it possible or do the organization have an ability to run the strategies well. Next is comply HR planning forecast. We need to analyze the demands for human resources and supply of human resources. Do our organizations need to employ new employee? Next is comply HR planning forecast. We need to analyze the demands for human resources and supply of human resources. Do our organization need to employ new employee? Do they qualified or competent? Next is develop HR staffing plans and actions. Employee retention and turnover utilization, recruiting resources and means, selection process and actions. Retention means an act to continue possessions, use or control something on someone, or control something or someone. In this case, employee retention refers to the ability of an organization to retain its employee. Retention is very important. It is because increasing employee retention has a direct impact on business performance and success, which promote the health and success of the organization, as well as reduce the time, stress, cost of hiring and training new employees. If I am a manager, how to retain employees? In my opinion, understanding retention is the key to keeping more of those top performers. So I will analyze the turnover problems and take new actions to address those retention issues. But in general, I may show appreciation, such as by giving a salary above the average wage. I will also offer the ability to grow, such as a promotion. Furthermore, I will provide flexible work schedules, which can provide a significant incentive for them to stick around. Next, how I assess the external workforce. I will consider first economic and governmental factors, like economic factors such as interest rates, inflation, and economic decline or growth effects affect the availability of workers and should figure into organizational and HR plans and objectives. As the unemployment rate rises, the number of qualified people looking for job increases, often making it easier to fill the same jobs. But those hired may receive lower pays and benefits than in their previous jobs. A broad array of government regulation affects the labor supply and HR planning. The example of government regulation factors is legislation. In summary, an organization must consider a wide variety of government policies, regulation, and laws during the HR planning process. The second one is competitive evaluations. The net migrant into a particular region is important. Failure to consider the competitive labor markets and to offer pay scales and benefits competitive with those of organizations in the same general industry and geographic location may cost a company dearly in the long run. Finally, the impact of international competition must be considered as part of environment scanning. The third one is changing workforce considerations. How I assess the internal workforce is by considering first current and future job audit, a comprehensive analysis of all current job provides a basis for forecasting what job will need to be done in the future. Most of the data in the audit should be available from existing staffing and organizational databases. We can ask these questions. What job exists now and how essential is each job? How many individuals are performing each job? What are reporting in relationships of job, etc. Next is employee and organizational capabilities inventory. As HR planners gain an understanding of the current and future jobs that will be necessary to carry out organizational plans, they can conduct a detailed audit of current employees and their capabilities. An inventory of organizational skills and capabilities may consider a number of elements such as individual employee demographic, individual career progressions, and individual performance data. All the details on an individual employee skills that go into a database may affect that person's career. Therefore, the data and their use must meet the same standards of job relatedness and non-discrimination as those met when the employee was initially hired. After assessing the external and internal workforce, I will use the data to forecast my HR demand and supply. I will use it to analyze my strengths and weakness, predicting the future situation, what my company needs to overcome the weakness until it becomes even better than today. I also can identify my company HR condition, such as estimating internal supply, includes the number of employees who will be recruited and have a promotion, termination, or pension. Internal supply refers to current numbers of the organizational workforce who can be retained, promoted, transferred, etc. to fill anticipated future SR requirements. The most important technique for forecasting of human resource supply are succession analysis and Markov analysis. Once a company has forecast the demand of labor, it needs an indication of the firm's labor supply. After it, it's our headline on page 145. The title is Need More Workers. The lesson that I can get is it is important to make a good plan and retain a qualified employee to reach the organizational goals. It is because HR planning affects what employers do when recruiting, selecting, and retaining people. And of course, these actions affect organizational results and success. This our headline is important for me in my future to make me recognize how essential HR planning and retention in an organization is. It has also provides me with the knowledge base of to retain good employers and recruit potential employees. After the HR best practices on page 147, I get to know the effective HR planning for the workforce future. Important HR functions in many organizations revolve around staffing, recruiting employee and retaining employees, forecasting the need for employee and identifying how to retain them are components of these functions. This as practices to me in the future is important because it provides examples of how SI planning can help meet future workforce supply and demand in the term of employees. Also, increasing employee retention by reducing turnover can aid in enhancing an organizational performance and effective HR management. The topic of the first video is human resource planning. I conclude that the topic is what I said before because everything discussed in the video is related to plan in human resources. This is very important because from this I can learn from the definition, function, and purpose of human resources, planning until 3 steps strategic process to meet the organization's human resources needs. They are figuring out where we are, where we want to go, and to get there. It helps develop the core elements of a human resource plan: strategy, goals, and actions. Strategy is similar to an organization's missions and a bridge between the organizations and its environment. Goals are statements of desired outcomes toward which effort is directed to realize our human resource plan. Actions are the most important things that can be done to reach stated goals. The topic of the second video is about employee retention. I found the topic from what is mainly discussed by the speaker in the video. This is important since the topic provides knowledge to prevent turnover, which can cause poor performance in otherwise productive units. I learned that we need to understand retention in order to retain more of the best performance. I also know that what things can be retention there, drivers, where we can take action to increase the likelihood of retaining employees in the future. A psychological contract is the understanding of mutual expectations between employees and employers. In theory, the psychological contract is used to maintain a positive employee-employers relationship by founding a set of mutually agreed ground rules. It refers to individuals' expectations, beliefs, and ambitions and obligations as perceived by the employer and the worker to understand the employment relationship. Physiological contract with the employment or management in the company is very important. It is because individual psychological contract allow the employee to see their value and role within the business. It also helps both sides avoid creating unrealistic expectations of one another. Besides, it allows for amending the term of the contract if needed, which is done through regular communication. Both have separate responsibilities to guard against potential breaches. For the employer, it is about making sure not to give the wrong perception to an employee and to make sure promises are upheld. For the employee, it is about managing their expectations so that difficult situations or adverse personal circumstances aren't seen as negatively impacting productivity and aren't seen as a worker acting out. It includes informal agreements, mutual belief, common ground, and perceptions between the two parties. An example of a psychological contract is promises of a promotion or salary increases. The components a psychological contract recognize are: first, employers. Employers should give retention to the employee by giving proper compensation. It can be done by giving a work-life balance, a competitive salary, and career development opportunities. The second one is employee. Employee give a contribution to doing their best, keeping improving their skills, and increase the productivity of the company. These components are the necessary and dependent variables, so both of them should give a mutual relationship. The three major factors that affect how a given individual performs are: first, individual ability to do the work. It is about how individual perform a work or a job in an organization. The second one is effort expanded. It referred to as for effort expanded by the employee to our individual in doing their job. The last one is organizational support. It is about how the organizational environment can affect an individual performance. If the organization too depends on technology or provide a bad training performance, the individual performance in that organization can be bad. Next, the components of individual performance. Individual performance including quantity and quality. First, effort expanded. To increase an individual performance, we can give a motivation by giving a bonus. We also can give work ethic, attitude or turnover, and job design. The second one is individual ability. It is about the talents, interests, and personality characteristics of that individual. Third, organizational support. Organization can provide training and development, equipment and technology, performance standards, as well as management and co-workers. Job satisfaction is a measure of workers' contentedness with their job, whether they like the job or individual aspects of the office of jobs, such as nature of work or supervision. It is a crucial part when we work in a company because high job satisfaction effectively leads to the improved organizational productivity, decreased employee decrease employee turnover, and reduce job stress in modern organizations. Job satisfaction leads to a positive ambience at the workplace and is essential to ensure the higher revenues for the organization. Research has found that organizational commitment is positively correlated with job satisfaction, while negatively correlated to turnover intention. The satisfaction can make the employee more loyal and engage the company. They also can feel more comfortable in doing their job until one until they want to commit and retain. Some factors affecting job satisfaction and organizational commitment are: first, the individual themselves, whether the ability is in accordance with the job or not. The motivation and support also have their role in influencing job satisfaction and organizational commitment. The second one is the job, the design and job elements. The employee can feel either job satisfaction or dissatisfaction. If they are satisfied, they will commit to the organization until decrease the turnover. Vice versa. The last question, I will combine my answer for number 18 and 19. After the article of chapter 5 dealing with human resource planning and retention, this chapter is very important. This chapter is a basic fundamental of human resource management to me. And I think that if we get back to some basic fundamental principles, we can make sure that we can solve the issues in the future. For the summary, what I learned from this chapter is human resource planning plays a critical role in ensuring business meets their current and future talent demands, enabling human resource managers to anticipate and develop the most valuable skill for an organization and provide the company with the optimal balance of staff in terms of expertise and number of available personnel. Effective employee retention can save an organization from productivity losses. Moreover, high retention workplaces tend to employ more engaged workers who are more likely to improve teams' relationship. I want to make them enjoy working in my company. Therefore, as HR managers, I will pay attention in recruiting potential employees, selecting the best possible choice, and retaining people who can give good results until bringing success to the organization. That's all from me, Erika Teresa. Thank you.